Once again, greeting from Accra, Ghana. This is Dr. Senierja. A case of Nucleus drop referred from a colleague. The vision was hand movement and there was a retina detachment. Decided not to remove the iris closed IOL that was inserted. It is worth noting that I made a couple of wrong decisions that made the surgery to be very long. The first wrong judgment. Looking at the nucleus, I thought it was soft, so I decided to use cutter to fragment it. But that wasn't easy, as you will see in this case. The posterior vitreous was still attached, so I've decided to do paracentesis and start clearing the anterior view. Now, after doing a bit of core vitrectomy, I decided to go posteriorly where I can clear a bit of the vitreous and be able to start inducing my PVD, posterior vitreous detachment. I needed to do this before I place my heavy liquid. Here I have started inducing the PVD slowly, but it wasn't easy at all. So I'll continue to clear the vitreous around the nucleus, and then at the same time attempting to induce the PVD. The aim here is just inducing the PVD just to some level where I can place my heavy liquid. Here, after placing the heavy liquid, so I started doing the fragmentation with my cutter. That is the second wrong decision. I should have completed the PVD at least to the vitreous base. Unfortunately, this is a wrong decision. It wasn't easy to actually fragment the nucleus. It was just in pieces and floating all around, jumping off the cutter, making everything very difficult to do. Because the vitreous was not fully detached to the vitreous base, there were times the retina was jumping into the cutter. And even had a iatrogenic break at one point. You can see some of the fragments were strongly adherent. So now I started inducing the PVD again to actually try to let it reach at least a reasonable area. Whilst I'm doing that, I continue to do the vitrectomy around the heavy liquid. At the same time, pull and cut, that is trying to induce the PVD. But it was not easy. There was a lot of schisis, and at one point I decided to use the fragmentome to pick some of them nucleus. So this was even more difficult. Each time I tried to pick the nucleus, you see the retina jump there, but fortunately no break. Another wrong decision, I used pre-existing sclerotomy for the fragmentome. The water from the fragmentome was staining my lens, making even the visibility very difficult. So at this point, I just decided to go back to my cutter. So I continued to induce the PVD further. Very surprising, it's not easy where the detachment is. And I don't want to fill the heavy liquid and have some of the vitreous under the heavy liquid. So I continue to do PVD and at the same time do peripheral shaving where it is possible. At the same time trying to crack those small pieces of nucleus floating around. But at one point I thought that this was not good. And at the same time when I think that the vitreous was more clear, I decided to introduce the fragmentome again. This time it has helped very well. At one point I just cleared everything and now I'm using now the cutter to remove the small pieces. Now I discovered that some of the fragments have gone under the retina. Fortunately, because of the heavy liquid, they didn't go under the fovea. So slowly I pick each out of there and then I will just use the cutter to remove it. Now I've topped up with the heavy liquid and try to see if I can apply laser. Here it became foggy because I started introducing air So I started doing air fluid exchange, and it was looking nicely. At one point, I had to join the existing break and the one I created when I was doing the nucleus removal. So I can see now the retina looks great. So I'm applying my laser as usual. Everything ended up not bad. Um, and I was happy throughout the procedure. I was protecting the fovea. Now I'm doing airflow exchange finally. Finished. I decided to put silicone oil tamponade. It looks good, and this is where I thought I could add a little bit of doing laser under silicone oil is always good because it takes, provided it's not that far periphery. Thank you very much. The first day post-op, cornea was hazy, retina still attached, but hand movement vision. Hope this will improve. So remember, after core vitrectomy, induce the PVD up to some level that will allow you to play your PFCL. This will protect the macula and also allow you to complete the PVD and do peripheral shaving. After complete vitrectomy, you can now phaco the nucleus with a fragmatome through a separate watertight sclerotomy. Alternatively, you could float the nucleus to the AC and just remove it like you do sick. Thank you, Dr. Sineja, for watching.